A seismic shift has just occurred in the American legal and cultural landscape. Overnight, the nation has been thrust into a new era as millions wake up to headlines that will shape the future of gun rights and public safety. The ripple effects are being felt in every corner of the country, from bustling cities to quiet rural communities, as Americans grapple with the implications of this historic moment. On a cold January morning, the Supreme Court delivered a decision that will echo for generations, fundamentally altering the right to carry firearms outside the home. The courthouse, shrouded in winter's chill, became the stage for a ruling that redefines the boundaries of the Second Amendment, sending a clear message that the legal landscape around gun ownership is changing in profound ways. The 6-3 ruling, announced on January 8, 2026, has sent shockwaves from Washington, D.C. to the smallest towns across the country. Newsrooms buzzed with urgent updates, and local leaders scrambled to interpret what this means for their communities. The decision has become the focal point of national conversation, dominating headlines and sparking intense debate. For decades, carrying a concealed weapon in public was a patchwork of state and local laws, a confusing legal maze. Some states imposed strict requirements, while others were more permissive, leading to a landscape where rights and restrictions varied dramatically depending on where you lived. This inconsistency left many Americans uncertain about their rights and responsibilities, fueling ongoing legal battles and public confusion. Now, the nation's highest court has drawn a new, broader line, dismantling the May issue framework and expanding the presence of legally carried firearms in public spaces. The ruling effectively standardizes the right to carry, making it more difficult for states to impose discretionary barriers. This shift is expected to increase the number of people legally carrying firearms, raising new questions about public safety, law enforcement, and personal freedom. This moment will be debated for years, forcing a national reckoning with the meaning of the Second Amendment in the 21st century. Across the country, passionate voices on both sides are mobilizing, some celebrating what they see as a victory for individual rights, others warning of increased risks and calling for new safeguards. The conversation is only just beginning. We'll explore the historical context, the specifics of the court's decision, and its effects on politics, the economy, and daily life. From the halls of Congress to local school boards, the impact of this ruling will be felt in policy debates, election campaigns, and the everyday experiences of Americans navigating a changed legal landscape. The debate over guns in America has just entered a dramatic and uncertain new chapter. As the nation adjusts to this landmark decision, one thing is clear. The conversation about gun rights, regulation, and public safety is far from over. The story is still unfolding, and its consequences will shape the country for years to come. The debate over carrying guns in public has been a persistent and often heated issue in American society, sparking passionate arguments on both sides for generations. In fact, this debate is nearly as old as the nation itself, tracing back to the earliest days of the Republic when questions about personal safety and public order first arose. Early American laws often specifically targeted the carrying of concealed weapons, as lawmakers believed that hidden firearms posed a unique threat to public safety and made it harder to prevent violence. For much of the 19th and 20th centuries, the Second Amendment was widely interpreted as a collective right, closely tied to the idea of organized militia service rather than individual self-defense. The focus was on the security of the state, not personal protection. The modern era of concealed carry began to take shape in the late 20th century. Gun rights advocates, energized by shifting public attitudes and political momentum, pushed for shall-issue laws, arguing that every law-abiding citizen should have the right to carry a concealed weapon for self-defense. Florida's landmark 1987 law was a turning point, sparking a wave of similar legislation across the country. However, states like California and New York resisted, maintaining strict may-issue systems that gave authorities broad discretion to deny permits. The 2008 Supreme Court decision in District of Columbia versus Heller marked a historic shift, affirming for the first time an individual's right to possess a firearm for self-defense at home. Yet, the ruling left unresolved the crucial question of whether this right extended to carrying firearms outside the home. This ambiguity led to years of legal battles, with lower courts issuing conflicting decisions and states adopting widely varying policies. The legal landscape became a patchwork, fueling ongoing controversy and uncertainty. With the nation divided and the law unsettled, the stage was set for the Supreme Court to step in once again and resolve the conflict over the right to carry concealed firearms in America. The pivotal case that brought this contentious issue before the Supreme Court was United States versus Rodriguez, a legal battle that would soon capture the attention of the entire nation and spark heated debates about constitutional rights and public safety. Elena Rodriguez, a dedicated home healthcare aide living in a high-crime neighborhood, was denied a concealed carry permit after she was robbed at gunpoint while returning home from work. Her state required applicants to demonstrate a good and substantial reason to carry a firearm in public, and officials decided her fear for personal safety was not enough. Determined to protect herself and others in similar situations, Rodriguez partnered with a prominent Second Amendment advocacy group. Together, they filed a lawsuit, arguing that the fundamental right to self-defense, as protected by the Constitution, should not end at one's front door, but must extend into public spaces where threats often occur. The state, however, vigorously defended its law, insisting that strict permitting requirements were a reasonable and necessary public safety measure designed to reduce gun violence and keep communities safe. As the case moved through the courts, it created a direct conflict between federal appellate courts, with some circuits upholding similar restrictions and others striking them down, leading to widespread legal uncertainty. Recognizing the national importance of the issue, the Supreme Court agreed to hear the case in the fall of 2025. The announcement drew intense media coverage and public interest as people across the country realized the outcome could affect millions. During oral arguments, conservative justices pressed attorneys on whether a constitutional right could be meaningfully exercised if it was limited only to the home, while liberal justices raised pointed questions about the potential impact on public safety and the government's responsibility to protect its citizens. The arguments revealed deep philosophical and ideological divisions, not just among the justices, but throughout American society, over the true meaning and scope of the right to keep and bear arms. As the justices deliberated, the nation waited anxiously for a decision that would not only affect Rodriguez, but also set a new legal standard for gun rights and public safety across the United States. The outcome of United States versus Rodriguez promised to reshape gun laws nationwide, influencing how states regulate firearms and redefining the balance between individual rights and collective security for years to come. On January 8, 2026, the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 in favor of Elena Rodriguez, striking down the state's May issue concealed carry law. The majority declared that the Second and 14th Amendments protect an individual's right to carry a handgun for self-defense outside the home. States can still require permits and objective criteria, but cannot use subjective standards like good cause to deny permits. The ruling mandates a shall-issue standard nationwide, forcing states like California and New York to rewrite their laws. The dissent warned of increased gun violence and argued for state flexibility. The decision does not create permitless carry, but it is the most significant expansion of gun rights in American history. The legal landscape has shifted, and the effects will be felt for years. The debate over public safety versus individual rights is far from settled. In the wake of the Supreme Court's decision, affected states face legal and administrative chaos. Officials are scrambling to interpret the ruling and draft new laws, especially around what qualifies as sensitive places. States like New York and California are considering bans in public transit, parks, bars, and more, plus tougher training and insurance requirements. These measures will spark new legal battles with gun rights groups. Law enforcement agencies are bracing for a surge in permit applications, straining resources. Meanwhile, shall-issue and constitutional carry states are largely unaffected, but some are pushing for even fewer restrictions. The ruling has triggered a period of intense legislative activity and legal uncertainty nationwide. The Supreme Court's decision has become a flashpoint in American politics, dominating the upcoming midterm elections. Republicans hail it as a victory for constitutional rights, while Democrats see it as a threat to public safety. The ruling has reignited debates over court reform and federal gun control, deepening the divide between red and blue states. Governors in liberal states vow to resist, setting up new legal battles with the federal government. The decision puts pressure on Congress and the president, but legislative options are limited. Political paralysis and frustration are likely to grow as the nation struggles to adapt. The ruling has intensified polarization and set the stage for further conflict. The economic impact of the Supreme Court's ruling is immediate and far-reaching. The firearms industry is booming, with surges in gun and ammunition sales, training courses, and related jobs. Businesses now face tough choices: allow guns and risk alienating some customers, or ban them and risk losing others. The insurance industry is grappling with new liability questions. Tourism and hospitality may suffer in states where public carry becomes common, while gun tourism could rise elsewhere. State and local governments must spend more to process permit applications and manage public safety. Opponents warn of higher health care and criminal justice costs from increased gun violence. The true economic consequences will unfold over time. To understand the long-term impact, we turn to Professor Adam Winkler, a leading Second Amendment scholar. Winkler notes the ruling is a major win for gun rights, but it doesn't end gun control. States can still regulate how and where guns are carried, especially in sensitive places. The next legal battles will focus on defining these places and on training requirements. States will try to restrict carry in as many locations as possible, while gun rights groups will challenge these laws in court. Winkler says the debate is shifting from if you can carry to where, when, and how. The culture war over guns is far from over. It's just moved to new ground. The Supreme Court's decision in United States v. Rodriguez changes the nature of public life in America. More firearms in public spaces will become a new reality, demanding thoughtful consideration from every citizen. The questions it raises about safety, freedom, and responsibility are for all Americans to grapple with. The nation faces a period of legal challenges, legislative battles, and social adjustment. The ultimate impact will depend on how states, businesses, and individuals respond. Will this lead to greater safety or more violence? The answer lies in our collective choices. The most important step is to join the conversation, stay informed, and engage with your community. The story of America's gun laws is still being written, and your voice matters.